right. So are you ready to dive into like a super common relationship problem?
Oh, yeah.
It's how to deal with totally different communication needs in a relationship. You know,
Yeah.
like when one person just can't stop talking and the other one
Yeah.
wants
Yeah.
peace and quiet.
Like they need it.
Yeah,
It's almost like a tug of war,
it is.
between wanting to connect and then also
Right.
needing your own space.
And it can get tricky,
Oh, yeah.
especially in like a close relationship, like with your romantic partner.
Yeah.
So today we are looking at this fascinating Reddit post that just like went viral.
I saw that one.
A woman shared her experience being with a boyfriend who's,
Talkative.
yeah, extremely talkative to the point where it's causing some problems.
Yeah, that one really resonated with a lot of people online.
It did. It sparked a huge debate about communication styles and boundaries.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that that's why we wanted to dive into it today.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. This woman describes her boyfriend as someone who talks constantly. Like from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep, there is a steady stream of words coming from his mouth, and she's just overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's interesting because his family describes him as the quiet type.
Yeah,
Almost silent, but then with his girlfriend, it's like he's found his voice.
totally. She even mentioned that when she told his family about it, they were shocked.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, wait, he's talkative now, because
Oh.
growing up, he was the quiet one.
Huh. That's so interesting.
So what do you think is going on?
Well, it makes you wonder, right? Why is there such a difference?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that there's some underlying reasons for it.
Okay.
Maybe he feels really safe and accepted with his girlfriend,
Yeah,
and that lets him open up in a way that he just can't with his family.
that's a good point. We all have different communication styles,
We do.
depending on, who we're with
For sure.
and how comfortable we feel.
Yeah. And, it's not uncommon for people who are more reserved in one setting to be more talkative in another one.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Like if they find a place where they feel like they're really heard,
Yeah.
then they can open up.
So we have this guy who opens up completely to his girlfriend.
Yes.
But then she's feeling totally bombarded by this constant chatter.
I can see how that would happen.
Yeah. And she uses some pretty strong language to describe it.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
She compares it to like compiling different words together and just letting loose,
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
which I thought was a really interesting way to describe it.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, is he really present in those conversations?
Right.
Or is it just like a stream of consciousness thing?
Yeah. Is he even thinking about what he's saying? Or is he just trying to fill the silence? She even says that most of what he talks about is really about nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, just random thoughts and observations
Oh, wow.
that don't really go anywhere.
So it's not even like interesting stuff.
Not really. And that's where I think like boundaries and self-care is super important.
There are.
Like, what do you think about that?
This is where it's really good for people to think about how they recharge.
Yeah.
And, what are their own limits
Yeah.
when it comes to communication?
Right. Are you someone who needs a lot of quiet time?
Yeah.
Or do you thrive on like constant interaction? Because if you're not aware of your own needs,
Yeah,
it's going to be tough to communicate them to somebody else.
absolutely. And it's not about like trying to completely shut down your partner's communication style. It's
Right.
about finding a balance where you can both get your needs met.
So what did people on Reddit think she should do?
Well, they pretty much all agree that she needs to have like a direct conversation with him
Okay.
about her need for quiet time.
Yeah.
But they said she needs to avoid being vague or accusatory.
Okay. Because just saying I don't want to talk can be hurtful.
Yeah, it can sound dismissive.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's important to frame it in a way that's expressing your own needs and feelings,
Right.
but without blaming your partner. And they recommended using I statements.
Yeah, I've heard that's a really good technique.
It is.
So what would that sound like?
Okay, so instead of saying, you talk too much, she could try saying something like,
Okay.
honey, I love hearing about your day, but my brain is just fried right now.
Okay.
Would it be okay if we just relaxed in silence for a bit?
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah.
Because it acknowledges that he wants to connect, but it also
Yes.
clearly says that she needs a break.
Exactly. And it avoids misinterpretation and, prevents hurt feelings.
It does.
Clear communication is so important for a healthy relationship.
It really is.
Yeah.
So did she actually talk to her boyfriend?
She did.
Okay.
And
And that's where things get interesting. We'll have to save that for the next part.
So you're going to have to wait to hear what happened.
Welcome back. So Last time we heard, our Reddit poster was about to have a serious conversation with her boyfriend.
Right.
The one where she sets some boundaries and tells him she needs a little more quiet time.
It's a big step.
It is, because, like, even if you have the best intentions, confrontation can be scary.
It can.
Especially when you really care about the person.
Oh, yeah. So how did it go?
Well, it sounds like it went really well.
Okay.
She used those I statements.
Okay, good.
And explained how she was feeling.
That's awesome. I want to know what she said.
Okay, so she didn't, like, accuse him of talking too much.
Yeah.
Instead, she said, something like, I feel overwhelmed when we talk for a long time.
Okay.
And I need some quiet time to recharge.
Okay, that's good. Because it's not about his behavior.
Right.
It's about her needs.
Yeah, and that's less likely to make him defensive.
It is. So what did he say?
He was actually really understanding.
Oh, wow.
He had noticed that she was withdrawn sometimes,
Okay.
but he didn't realize why.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
It is.
It sounds like he really cares about her and wants her to be happy.
Yeah, he does, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before.
Right. You know how his talkativeness could be because he feels unheard in other parts of his life?
Okay, yeah.
So maybe with her, he feels safe enough to just let loose and be himself?
That's interesting because she mentioned that in her update.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. She said he was quiet around his family,
Wow.
but totally opened up to her, like she was the one person.
Wow, she became like a safe space for
Yeah.
him to talk.
It's crazy how our communication styles can change
They do.
based on who we're with.
Absolutely.
But even knowing that doesn't make it easier to live with someone who just never stops talking.
No, it doesn't.
So did they figure out a way to find a better balance?
They did.
Okay, good. What did they come up with?
Well, it was a few things.
Okay.
She decided to be more upfront about when she needed quiet time
Okay.
instead of just like hoping he'd pick up on it.
Oh, so no more passive aggressiveness.
Exactly. It doesn't work.
No.
She also started paying more attention to her own energy levels
Okay.
and telling him, if she had a long day and needed some quiet time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so there's no pressure to read each other's minds.
Right.
And then he agreed to be more mindful of her needs and respect her requests for quiet time.
So they're both putting in the effort.
They are, which is great.
That's good. And then what else?
She also realized that she might be part of the problem.
Oh, really? How so?
She said that she's kind of reserved
Okay.
and she doesn't always actively participate in conversations.
So maybe it's not just that he talks too much,
Right.
but that she doesn't talk enough.
Yeah, she was wondering if he felt like he had to carry the conversation
Oh, interesting.
because she wasn't pulling her weight.
Wow. That's really insightful. It shows how communication is a two-way street
It is.
and that, both people have to create a good balance.
It's a partnership.
So what did she do?
Well, she decided to work on being more present and engaged
Okay.
and to share her own thoughts and feelings more.
So, meet him halfway
Yeah.
and create a space where they could both express themselves.
Yes. Whether through talking or through silence.
So what happened next?
Well, she had some tips and strategies.
Okay, I bet our listeners would love to hear those.
Okay, well, the first one was setting clear boundaries and sticking to them.
Okay.
And also, knowing your limits, like how much talking is too much.
That's huge.
It is, because
Yeah.
if you don't know your limits, how can your partner respect them?
Right, exactly.
And she also found that humor was really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Like, instead of getting frustrated when he'd start rambling, she'd try to find the funny side of it.
Laughter is the best medicine,
It can be.
especially in relationships.
Yeah,
Takes the tension down a notch.
absolutely. And then her last tip was to be patient.
Oh, that's important.
It is, because changing communication patterns takes time and effort.
Yeah, for both people.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It is.
It's not a destination.
Relationships take work,
They do.
and you have to be willing to adapt.
Yeah, and there's this one more thing from this whole story. It's kind of like an aha moment.
I like those.
Well, it's the realization that this isn't just about balancing talking and silence.
Okay.
It's about something bigger, It's about creating space for both expression and silence
Oh,
in a way that honors what both partners need.
that's deep.
It is.
I like it. And that's what we're going to talk about in the last part.
Yes, stay tuned. This is where things get really interesting.
So welcome back to Voices of the Soul. We're wrapping up our look at this Reddit post
Yeah.
about the woman with the talkative boyfriend.
Yeah, and, they had that good conversation and they're both making some changes.
It's awesome that they were able to work it out.
It is, it shows what can happen with open communication.
Totally. So I wanted to go back to that aha moment,
Okay.
the one where it's about more than just balancing talking and silence.
Yeah, it's about making space for both of those things
Okay.
in a way that really respects each person's needs.
So it's not about one person being quiet all the time
No.
or the other person talking more.
It's about recognizing that both expression and silence
Right.
have their own value in a relationship.
So silence can be really powerful.
It can.
Like when you just think about it, it can be for reflection
Yes.
or for deep connection
Absolutely.
or just being present with each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best moments are those quiet ones.
They are. We always think of communication as talking.
Yeah,
But you can communicate without words.
you can. And then on the other hand, expression is also important.
It is.
It's how we share our thoughts and feelings,
Right.
our dreams, our fears.
And it helps us connect on a deeper level.
Yeah, so it's not about choosing one or the other.
No.
It's about having both expression and silence.
Yes, in a
Yeah.
way that works for both people.
So like in a perfect world,
yeah.
you'd have a relationship where everyone feels safe to talk and to be
it's-
quiet.
That's the goal.
But how do we do that?
Well, it goes back to everything we've been talking about.
Okay.
Communication, understanding, compromise, being willing to meet each other's needs.
It starts with having those conversations
Yes.
about how much you need to talk and how much quiet time you need.
Right. You have to be honest about what makes you comfortable.
And then really listen to what your partner has to say,
Yes. Even if it's different from what you want.
because there's no one right way to communicate.
Exactly. As long as everyone feels respected.
So then you have to figure out a way to compromise.
Yeah, like maybe schedule some quiet time together.
Okay.
Where you just unplug and enjoy being with each other.
Yeah. Or like set aside time for talking
Yes.
where you can really focus on each other.
It's about being intentional.
Yeah. And it's an ongoing thing
It is.
because relationships change and so do our needs.
Yes. So just keep talking to each other.
Be open and willing to adapt.
This whole conversation has given me a lot to think about.
Me too. And if you're enjoying these conversations about relationships and communication,
Yes.
make sure to subscribe to Voices of the Soul.
And you can find us on YouTube, too.
It's Shauna Palaj.
We love helping you guys explore these topics.
Until next time, thanks for listening.